love the chase and the hunt, and I set the pace when I'm running. I always take what I want and I always give it 100. Don't need a bank, no I'm funded. Play the game like it's nothing. I'm always thankful for something. Don't take for granted, stay humble. Now wake up! It's time to look at the enemy. Look in the mirror if he is no friend to me. It's not working out, maybe it's the chemistry. It's time to break up so I can make a better me. Better believe in your mind, cause it's everything. You can mold, shape, find almost anything. All it takes is some time and some clarity to find your identity. It's mind over everything. I'm immortal. When I feel like this, I'm immortal. When I feel like this, I'm immortal. When I feel like this, I'm immortal. Don't be scared. Just step up. Don't be scared. To my face while he's looking back. Mirror breaks after math. When I hate, I attack. When I feel like this, I'm immortal. 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 Don't be scared. Just step up. Don't be scared.
Right, so welcome guys.
Thank you for having us here.
Yeah, so when is the exact top and when is the exact bottom? What do you think?
I think you should start with that. It's always on the top.
No, I mean like in this case, doesn't matter, right?
Yeah, it doesn't matter, right?
Like, so in this case, like it's about going in when it's low and coming out when it's high. It doesn't matter when it's top and when it's low, right?
That's true.
Yeah.
The thing is, right, when we talk about a lot about crypto, I guess everybody just wants to know when moon, right?
Yeah.
It just wants it easy, right?
Yeah.
It's been mooning all the while.
It has been, yeah. They can't be mooning 24/7, right?
Yeah.
So,
I mean, if you're an active trader, right? So if you like buy something like cheap today, let's say it goes out 10%, 15%, 20% tomorrow.
right.
You still have a good money, right?
That's true.
Where else are you getting the returns?
That's true. So the thing is, in crypto, when you make 10%, it's boring, right?
Yeah.
In stocks, 10% is like your yearly portfolio.
Even in a bearish market, I mean, people are still making money.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So why don't you tell me about you guys are from Access Blockchain as well as Sanctum Global Ventures. So what does Sanctum Global Ventures do?
So we are a VC fund, incubator
Okay.
and accelerator in the space.
Okay.
So we have been working very closely with a lot of blockchain projects
All right.
the last couple of years, and always searching for a unicorn.
Okay.
And supporting them, helping them to run a good projects.
Is it safe to say that you guys are venture capitalists? Yeah.
Correct.
And what projects have you helped develop?
Recently, we launched a philanthropic project called
Okay.
Bitcoin.
Right.
We were supposed to launch later in Q3, but due to the fact that there was a war going on between
Right.
Russia and Ukraine, we decided to launch it as soon as possible to fundraise to help the refugees in Ukraine. So that's where we launched around mid-April-ish.
Okay.
We are on PancakeSwap and also MEXC.
Okay.
So it's doing pretty well. We have a lot of adoption coming on. We are, working. My co-founders are actually in South Africa
All right.
for the last 1 week to go into Africa market, and it's been a very exciting journey. We have a lot of people using our Field app as a non-custodial wallet
Okay.
to actually donate to help people in need. So I think
Right.
that's where we see philanthropy is actually a big movement in the crypto space now, where it's not just about making money and
Right.
losing money,
Right.
but it's about giving. It is about unity with a purpose among all people on earth. That
Right.
being a decentralized community, we
Yeah.
can do so much together, even though we are in different regions, different countries, different weather, different ethnicity, religions. But when it comes to helping people, all of us can be united with a purpose.
Awesome. And Harpreet, what about Access Blockchain Malaysia?
So I mean, we were just having the conversation today,
Right.
like what exactly is access, right? So it started off with the idea that we didn't have a common voice in the industry,
Right.
right? So because there was so many different crypto companies trying to do so many different things, they were trying to get so many different permissions, like from the regulators, from the government, right? It was a bit of chaotic situation, like early on in the days in 2015, 2016, 2017. So the idea was, muted with, with the bunch of community members. We were like, hey, maybe we need to form a form of group, right, where we can have a common voice, and then we can, kind of tackle some of the issues that we are facing together,
Right.
So that's where the idea started, to be a common voice, where you can have a common shared purpose, right, among all those, all the community members, the corporate members, to come together and basically, if let's say you have regulatory challenges, how can we address that? Who will be
Right.
the right party to actually go and talk to, right? Let's say if you have talent development challenges, how do we actually mitigate that? That's why even right now we're doing a lot of talent development activities and initiatives, right? Then we notice that there's actually a lot of diversity issues. We're also looking into how can we actually solve those issues, right? So in this case, we noticed like what are the problems that we've been facing over the years. Access has been adapting, evolving, and changing as a common voice of the industry to solve problems and build this industry bigger and better together.
What is the main problem you think that now you mentioned that it's evolving, right?
Yeah.
So what is right now? What is the main problem the crypto community is facing? You think?
I think there's a huge gap in terms of education, awareness, right? If you really look into it, a lot of it comes back to talent,
Right.
So when you look into, if you want to go up and do something with the government, or you want to go up and do something in blockchain, you need somebody who actually understands it,
Right.
If you want to bring in diversity into the space, you need to educate more ladies or more people to actually come into the space, right? Then if another issue is like, let's say if you want to build something, you want to develop something, you need somebody who can code it,
Right.
Everything from regulating it, understanding it, selling it, marketing it, right? Growing the whole industry itself
Right.
requires a lot of talent, and you also need talent on the other side, where if you're regulating the industry, or you want to work together, or let's say if you're like just an outside industry in a different
Right.
domain, let's say healthcare, right?
Right.
If you want to work something with the crypto industry, you actually have to understand what exactly is crypto,
Right.
What exactly is blockchain. So there's a huge gap in terms of awareness, the talent that actually can understand and build something around it, and the overall ecosystem actually need to work together, right, in terms of solving these
Right.
problems. And I think another big issue is, of course, I think there's still quite a lot of stigma,
Right.
along crypto, right? Thank God blockchain in a way wasn't so sexy
Right.
for a lot of people to misuse, right? Although if you really look into it, a lot of the early day sales pitches, right?
Right.
From all those crypto, like rug pullers and like MLMs and like all
OneCoin and-
OneCoin and
Right.
stuff like that, right? So you see like every time when you go in, the pitch was very common,
Right.
They will come in, they'll sell you the big vision and big idea
Right.
of Bitcoin,
Right.
and blockchain, and how it has been successful, how it has been growing,
Right.
how is it changing the world. But we have OneCoin, which is better,
Right.
right?
They're still looking for her, right? She's like disappeared.
Yeah, I mean, like nobody,
Ruja, right? Yeah.
nobody knows, right?
Yeah.
From my opinion, I think the biggest challenge about the whole crypto industry
Right.
is that there are too many people who do not understand the purpose of having cryptocurrency.
Okay.
Yeah,
The understanding of the whole financial system that have been there for so many generations
Right.
is so influential towards their perception of values of everything is spent
Right.
that it refuse to believe that this digital currency actually have real value.
Yes.
And this real value came from, some of the infrastructures that is so random and encrypted.
Right.
They do not understand what the hell is it.
Yeah.
And secondly, they don't understand why is this currency is being created with someone who is unknown
Right.
and it's decentralized, and how do you regulate it? is totally different from the conservative way of looking at the whole financial system and economy of the whole world. So that is a huge confusion there that people need to understand who created this financial system. Why is this system being designed in such a way? Why are we being taught to think like this logically? And this whole thing needs to be rethink to start with before you can actually accept a new concept of the new money, such as cryptocurrency. And the underlying technology around it, using cryptography to create transparency and encryption to protect the data from being hacked and changed itself is a very useful technology that can be used in different businesses, in supply chain, in businesses, in banking, fintech solutions, and cybersecurity infrastructure, everything. It's such a big jargon for most people to even understand it. Maybe a lot of people here do not understand what the hell is Bitcoin or cryptocurrency. But in fact, the money of value and the meaning of money itself has been challenged because of cryptocurrency. So this is the biggest challenge that we have. A lot of debate, a lot of regulations are still looking at it, but there are some countries who are actually adopting it and believing in it. We look at how some countries are making Bitcoin a legal tender, and some countries are banning it and preventing people from using it, so on and so forth. So this whole scenario is a transition of adoption for the last 13 plus years, where this currency is becoming one of the top 50 assets in the whole world.
But I actually have a very different view from the way actually Rico puts it. Right? For me, I feel the day blockchain or cryptocurrencies actually will become successful, the day we stop thinking about it and it's boring, right? The day you don't actually have to wake up and think that how this technology works, what is the cryptography behind it. I just want to pick it up and I already trust it and I already can just send the money, right? Right. So if you really look into all the technologies we've been using, have you actually even considered like how the how the cloud works, right? How the fintech app works, right? So only technologies think about it, only builders think about it, the whole perspective and the whole background of it, right? But when it comes towards users, a big mass users, they don't have time, right, to really go up and understand and get into the jargons and the whole ecosystem behind it. So if you're looking into mass adoption, I think a lot of it forget the, in terms of humanizing the technology, right? A lot of times we think, right, every single guy there is a nerd, right? We kind of assume this because when Bitcoin started, it was basically a very nerd-friendly kind of ecosystem. We kind of really enjoyed the whole ecosystem, right? But I noticed the same thing. Like when I came up with, was actually learning about the space, I really, appreciated the whole technology, appreciated the whole ecosystem and how the vision was growing. I was like, wow, this is amazing. But when I go and talk to my friends, people are like, what the hell is all of this, right? You're like, what are you talking about? You're like, are you crazy, right?
Culture.
No, everybody thinks you're kind of crazy, right? You're cuckoo or something, right? So when you actually look into it, when you see it from their perspective, they might not be sold in the idea of Bitcoin and decentralization. They want something that solves their problems. They want something that simplifies their life. If the value of exchange or kind of upgrading it, for example, like moving on from file servers to cloud made huge sense because you had a lot of improvements on it, speed, etc. Right? Running those backups onto a cloud was much more cheaper than having your own backup storage system. So it made sense, everything from economical, technological, and many different aspects of it. So I think blockchain is still finding that kind of angle, right, on where exactly do we fit in, right? Although we have been widely successful, right? If you talk about the tale of Bitcoin, how it has grown to become a financial ecosystem for more than 40 plus million people, and basically also been serving a lot of unbanked. It doesn't matter if you're a fridge or a human to Bitcoin, but it gives you a financial service, right? Which is actually something for the future, right? If you're an IoT or you're a robot or you're whatever, Bitcoin still will treat you the same and it will still work, right? So all of this has shown that this technologies work, but now I think it's time for more builders, like taking especially the bear market in consideration, right? I think it's time for more builders to go up and wear the thinking cap and say, how can we fix this, right? How can we fix some of these small issues, right? How can we simplify onboarding? How can we improve the experience, right? So this discussion never happened in early days of crypto.
Yeah.
Right? Until this day, when I traveled to Amsterdam, suddenly they have a user experience conference for cryptocurrency, and like, wow, this is a change, right? They have a committee now, right? They have a, like they're thinking of a DAO, for all of this, and then they, even when you look into like how can we onboard the next million or 100 million users, right?
Right.
So that's where the concept has changes. How can we simplify? I think this is going to be a changing point.
Right.
Because now we are going towards the right questions and the right mindset that if we want to get the masses, if we want to get the large ecosystem and everybody to come up, maybe we have to just build better tools.
Yeah.
We have to simplify, right, the onboarding process and maybe work on more tools and technologies that can actually complement that, right? So I think that's where I kind of differ from your point.
Yeah, I have a funny story actually.
Yeah.
I did actually try to explain to someone, this girl, that Bitcoin is not owned by anyone.
Yeah.
It is decentralized. There's no Bitcoin company, and she actually got mad at me. She thought I was lying to her. So I think for a lot of people, they still can't quite wrap their head around how this decentralized doesn't belong to anyone. It's somewhere in the cloud, So that kind of concept, I think for a lot of people, they find it difficult to wrap their head around. Where do you think that this will go? Do you think that cryptocurrency will likely change the financial system in the case or it'll replace it, or it will merge with the financial system right now?
I would go for merging.
Right.
There are always people who prefer something that they trust in.
Right.
And for something that generations of the families or people using it, you can't say you don't trust that overnight.
Right.
So for something new that is surfacing and changing their life and behavior, to learn about it, to understand it fully, to actually try it, is a big step for many people who are not risk taker.
Yeah.
Right. For the risk taker, they will just try it and see what happens after that. So for those risk takers, they are more likely to be involved yet, which is why you see a lot of degen trader. Because it's something high risk and high reward to begin with. And they're willing to take a risk. And if you're lucky, you might make it. If you're not, you might lose it.
Right.
So a lot of this sort of mindset actually comes from a greed factor, or actually you're quite someone who is not worried about the future. You don't need this. I'm happy with my life now. I can be very happy using the current ecosystem that I'm in the comfort zone. But someone who's probably not in the comfort zone, who needs to jump out from it, will take the challenge and do something crazy. So which is why we say that most of us in the crypto space are somewhat crazy people. We are so up for challenges. We are up for a sort of entrepreneur spirit where we want to try new things and see if it works. And a lot of experiments are going on. And you never know, it might just work.
Right.
And if it works, it's another unicorn, so to speak. So most of us are actually looking into the whole ecosystem and asking the young people to actually think outside the box.
Right.
All the knowledge is online. You can Google about it, you can read about it, you can debate about it with your peers, right? But what are you going to do about that with this piece of information?
Right.
Take action and actually build something. And I always tell most of the projects who are fundraising, solve an expensive problem, not something that anyone can solve or a cheap problem. Find a big problem that you can resolve it with some technology in the space, and that is where you should be, focusing on that and building on it and develop and believe in it. Because if you don't believe in it yourself, then it's not real.
Right.
And it's not going to happen. So I believe most of these challenges that we have in the whole ecosystem is about belief and trust to start with. If you trust your service, if you trust your team, they can build and solve a problem, I think it will be a lot of potentials moving forward in the next 10, 20, 30 years ahead of us.
Right.
Yeah.
Do you think Bitcoin needs to be a currency in a sense that everybody needs to use it? Or do you think the way it is now, which is a form of an asset or digital gold, is good as it is? What do you think?
I'll come back to the question. But
Sure.
Before that, I would just like to say, whatever you mentioned earlier,
Right.
That's a bad dating advice.
Yeah,
you never want to go on a date
Right.
and actually argue with the girl
Yeah, exactly.
about crypto and
Yeah.
Bitcoin, and and it's anonymous founders.
Right, yeah.
So I think I gotta put that out for our single crypto guys out there.
Yeah, don't bring up blockchain and Bitcoin on the first date.
Yeah, so it doesn't work. Yeah. So when coming back to the early question as well, I just wanted to put out a point, right? So I do deal with a lot of financial institutes,
Right.
right? So I mean, I always go with the idea, right? So either you evolve,
Right.
or you merge,
Right.
or you get disrupted,
Right.
right? So in this case, this is usually the common formula, right? So you evolve, you go up and see what are the areas, the inefficiencies, the issues that you're having, the bad user experience that you're giving,
Right.
Banking sucks today,
Right.
Like if you want to just move money between, like from my account to, like
Right.
one of my employees' account in India, it takes like 3 days, so much of documents, so much of processes,
Yep.
right? Where I can just click one button and send USDT and it's done,
Right.
So it's pain, and I already have something better. Only if it get a bit more better than that, right? It's a bit easier to cash out in India.
Right.
I'm never using banking service again.
Right.
Right. So in this case, already can see a change and shift. A vast majority of people don't know about this, like solutions yet.
Right.
Once they found out, and there's already services providing this, remittance is a game, like out of the hands of banking again.
Yeah.
Right. So if you do not evolve, right, and you started to adapt and try to use these technologies, you're going to lose those segments of business. That's number one, right? Number two is merge, right? So what will happen is a lot of companies, they would not be able to disrupt. They would not be able to innovate because they're so huge, there's so much risk. So what they'll try to do, they'll try to merge with like all the new players, buy, do acquisition, right? But right now, there's so much of unclarity. So a lot of banking sectors and financial institutes, they do not know if they want to get involved in crypto businesses, or do they want to have a VC fund. Like some bankings are doing. Some of them are opening offices in mid-hours, some of them are going into crypto, some of them want to do custodian services. But a vast majority of these institutes are not because of regulatory unclarity, right? So that is another problem there. And the last one, disrupt, right? When I look into disrupt, I think that's the way forward. Right? You have seen and went through a kind of industry that has evolved and stabilized itself for hundreds of years, right? That's how they have been doing business for hundreds of years, and they have been working. There comes a computer system, right? Talking about Bitcoin, whereas you do not know who's the founders. Going back to your dating story, right? And then you do not know who's running it, right? And it's able to provide financial service without running an office, without running people, without employing anyone. Bunch of computers basically going up, running around the world with right incentive for people to keep running it. Right? And it's actually able to provide a financial service, right? If you really look into it, just to provide 30 million people in Malaysia, for example, Bank X in Malaysia, right? How many branches they have to have? Right? How many buildings they have to have? How many databases they have to have? How many employees they have to hire? How many employees does Bitcoin have? Right? So in this case, you can look into it that it is going to disrupt. If you do not evolve, you are in it for disruption, right? So I think there were to answer your previous question. Coming back to your current question, does Bitcoin have to be kind of a money, right? A payment service? I think Bitcoin can be most of them. Right? It's not about just we need to have multiple a layered solution to Bitcoin, right? So Bitcoin today might be money for some, Bitcoin might be investment for some, Bitcoin might be store of value for some. And in this case, it depends on how it will evolve, right? Maybe there's futures where you can build synthetic assets on Bitcoins, right? Which are more cash, or something like stable coins, Bitcoin backs, right? So there's things like that already in the space, but it's only that it's still quite volatile, right? If we can manage the systems well, over time, Bitcoin can behave as cash, as payment, as money, and all of them at the same time, evolving from the current ecosystem. Only thing I believe Bitcoin needs more innovation, right? They're just talking about Bitcoin. You can see all the other sectors are really growing rapidly. I think since the EVM and the whole growth was starting, we kind of abandoned Bitcoin a bit, right? I think a lot of the community kind of moved on into all the other stuff, the sexy stuff, the smart contracts and all the DAOs and NFTs. We kind of abandoned Bitcoin behind. Now I think is we need to have more growth and development towards that sector as well.
All right. So I'm getting a cue off camera. We have to do our wallet. What's happening? Okay. So we've got a question. Is that right? Yeah. No, you guys can talk to me. It's okay. So, okay, now we're giving out this cool wallet, okay? It's 400 ringgit. Very easy. If you actually want to win this, all you need to do is just type a question, okay? Any question that you'd like to ask our brilliant guests here, okay, and I will ask them, and after the show, we'll find out which is our favorite question, and you get to walk away with the cool wallet worth 400 ringgit, okay? So, earlier on as well, we're actually going to have a break, so that's what you're trying to tell me. Okay, so we're actually going to have a break for our sponsors, and we'll be back in a bit, in about more than 2 minutes, a little over 2 minutes. All right, catch you guys soon.
Introducing the Cool Wallet Pro, an enhanced hardware wallet the size of your credit card, yet packs the most sophisticated cold storage technology inside, giving you full control of your digital assets whenever, wherever you need it. Cool Wallet Pro connects offline to only your mobile device within a 10-meter distance, and requires you to physically confirm every transaction on your Cool Wallet Pro after checking transaction details for optimal security. Cool Wallet Pro is designed for the professional crypto user who needs more than just superior security in a hardware wallet. You can plug in directly to the world of DeFi, DEXs, and other DApps, allowing you to earn easy passive income from staking and DeFi on the best crypto blockchains. Through our extensive marketplace, you can trade, sell, and buy directly from trusted third parties, all within the Cool Wallet app. While staying anonymous, retaining data privacy, and avoiding trust risks. With Cool Wallet Pro, the key to your future is in your hands.
Okay, so I found out some very interesting information. Since we've started this podcast, the market has started crashing. So I don't know whether we're the cause or whether it's just a coincidence.
Just a small dip.
I don't know. I'm not actually checking the charts. So, but the guys have said that it's a crash. We also got some interesting questions. It's not our fault, hopefully it's not our fault. We've got some interesting questions here from Zuli Rahimi Zulkifli. He's asked 2 questions actually. Hi guys. Just want to know technical analysis in crypto, accurate or not? First question. If accurate, how many percent and which technical analyst is accurate? Wow. Got crystal ball or not? Now, you got a time machine, maybe that would be useful.
Yeah, I mean, like when I looked into this, right? So when I was getting into crypto, like early on, so I actually did a bit of forex, right?
Okay.
So that's why I did a lot of the technical analysis and like all the different ways of actually trying to predict the graph, right? Honestly, I came to the conclusion it doesn't work on crypto.
Right.
Because we are very sentiment driven, right? So I noticed that actually when you look into certain markets, right, on how like all the TA and all those graphs are working, but in crypto, one news can actually swing the whole graph the other way. Right. So let's say just Elon Musk comes up and put up a tweet. Right. The graph is really all the like if it's a good one, it's go up. Right. If it's a bad one, it started falling down. Right. And the whole market kind of evolves with the sentiment.
Right.
And all of them are kind of interdependent as well. Right. So when you look into the forex or the other markets, they are not that pegged to each other. Right. But we are very much pegged to the emotions of Bitcoin and Ethereum right now. Right. Where they have the majority of the dominance. So in this case, my counter is like, what is the sentiments in the market? Like, are the sentiments like bullish or are they bearish? Are we building? Right. Are the ecosystem actually growing? Are more people investing? That are my indicators. in terms of the overall ecosystem. That's why I like to see like is any big guys actually buying something today,
Right.
Or anybody coming in and like try any big investment happen today, right? These are the news that I keep up, and I keep actually more of sentiment analysis instead of all the technical analysis that you actually
Right.
can do. So that's my perspective on it. But there's going to be a lot of other gurus who will actually disagree with me and all of those. But I think it's kind of something that's personal.
Right.
But TA didn't work for me. That's my answer.
Fair enough. Rico, Simon Pang here is asking, what are your thoughts of countries regulating crypto? Do you think that it would also cause more problems economically if countries are unable to control their own currency?
Well, I think if the country can manage the economic properly,
Right.
They can run well with their own currency. But the problem is they are borrowing money from other countries
Right.
for their own country. So I think that itself shows that they are not really good in managing a business or a country, and which is why the change of politicians, the change of government happens sometimes for a good reason or bad reason.
Yeah.
We never know.
Right.
And hence, having a global currency such as Bitcoin, making it legal tender does neutralization and counter-inflationary to many situations where we have observed in the past. And when we see big countries trying to control and manage other countries with all kinds of campaigns or speculations or conspiracy theories, whatever it is, there's only one global cryptocurrency now
Right.
that we all call it Bitcoin.
Right.
Everything else is sort of like a shitcoin, right?
Even Ethereum?
Yeah. I mean, if Ethereum is not a shitcoin, then what about the rest?
Right.
But everyone is trying to be another Bitcoin.
Right.
That's my point.
Right.
But there's only really one Bitcoin with a real store of value that is able to be used around the world as a store of value right now.
Right.
And even becoming a legal tender of certain smaller countries because they need to shift their reliance to something that's neutral rather than being biased and being controlled by another country's currency. So that shift is happening now in geopolitical reasons. And then to answer your questions earlier on, regulations is always changing.
Right.
Today you may be very happy because of this whole political party supporting it. What if one day it goes away? Things might go back to basic again, or even go worse, 10 years or 20 years backwards.
Yeah.
So we don't know what is going to happen with the political system, but we just know that if the tech works, it works.
Right.
Yeah.
If it solves our problems, it solves our problems. So whatever we are designing now in terms of projects that we're looking at, it has to be global. It cannot be too local.
Yeah.
Some of the solutions that you have, for example, what Alipay did in China, can only work in China because of the whole political system and how the country works. You can't just duplicate and put into another country, just like that. So it's the same thing here. A business model has to be globalized and yet to be solving problems locally so that it could be duplicable and it could be decentralized in a
Right.
way. So I think that's where I think Simon asked a very good question.
Okay.
I believe that every countries have their own rights of what they want to do with the country. They own it.
Right.
And people vote for them to put it on there.
Right.
Except for them.
Yeah.
Right? So do not blame anyone else.
Right.
Blame yourself. But at the same time, as all of us are in this industry, we are always looking at how can we make things better in that country or which other countries to help people. And the whole point is towards the sovereignty of your own wealth.
Right.
Are you in control of your own wealth now, or is your wealth relying on someone else
Right.
to dictate? Overnight, some countries went bankrupt. The central bank
Yep.
doesn't work anymore.
Yeah.
Whatever they have in the bank is worthless. We've seen that in so many countries. And more countries is going through debt
Right.
right now. So if you are a person who wants to have control of your own wealth, would you want to put everything into one basket?
Right.
Or would you put some in different baskets? And maybe crypto is one of the options for you to think of. Could be real estate, could be gold or other commodities that you want to diversify to manage the risk.
So El Salvador is one of the countries that heavily invests in Bitcoin. What do you think are the next few countries that's going to jump on that Bitcoin bandwagon?
I think that a lot of Latin and North American companies are jumping to that direction.
Okay.
We observe, Brazil and Mexico, and many of those countries are looking into it and
Right.
adopting. We have countries in Southeast Asia also looking into it.
Right.
Malaysia, we make an announcement that they are looking into it as well.
All right.
Yeah. So, it's really about talking and about execution. But really, the political system has to be in line. You don't want some politician come and say we want it, but then the bureaucracy side say we are still investigating,
Right.
we're still thinking about it. Let's see how it goes. So there's a lot of speculations around. It could be because of some elections are coming up. They want to buy some voters of the crypto people.
Yeah.
Things like this. So we need to be very, street smart in terms of the media headlines that we see.
Right.
Does it make sense or not? Are they capable of running it themselves? Do they have the expert to actually run it? This is what Harpreet mentioned earlier on. You need people who actually understands it and then integrate to the whole financial system. It's not so simple.
Right.
From regulations to guidelines to the whole integration of IT infrastructure has to be there in order to create a decentralized payment system solution.
Yeah.
But if actually looking at the private sector, it's already been done.
Right.
Yeah.
It's already been done. FinTech has really adopted blockchain and using blockchain for ledger system for so many years. There's so many use cases, but it's not being publicized yet.
Right.
So, as mentioned by Harpreet, we need to advise people to actually look into it and get good use case and then implement it. There's no point delaying anymore because people just use Bitcoin as a legal tender. That solves so much problem already.
Right.
Yeah.
And then if you implement certain enterprise solution or even private blockchain that can be used internally in different government agencies, it also solves a lot of problem.
Yeah.
Not even using any token or coin, just using it as an infrastructure layer, that solves a lot of problem too. That is a proof of concept and MVP that look, this technology is really, really useful and it has its own value. And which is why most people who are not IT or coder or developer will find it hard to understand.
Right.
As a user, if we can just do a few clicks and use it, I think that's where I think most of the wallet system, including cool wallets, are actually looking at improving the user experience.
Yeah.
So I think that is important for us in the whole industry
Right.
moving forward.
Do you think this is a cycle-based thing? Like in the previous cycle, there wasn't that many fintech companies and not a lot of institutional big companies coming and buying Bitcoin. In this cycle, we see Tesla and a lot of big companies coming and buying up large amounts of Bitcoin. A few countries. Do you think that maybe the next cycle we'll start to see countries instead coming in? What do you think? What do you guys think?
Yeah, I think I would like to chime in a bit on what
Sure.
has been mentioned
Go ahead.
earlier as well, because I believe that some amount of regulation is definitely necessary, because how a crypto ecosystem is kind of becoming wild west, right? With a lot of crazy ideas and a lot of exploits, from multiple different parties. But at the same time, regulation shouldn't be hindrance towards innovation. Right? We should be aligned that we want more innovation, we want more growth, but we want safe innovation, right? I mean, in this case, we should allow people to go up and try, and test out things as long they're playing, in a safe means. But at the same time, this is a very hard balance to play, right? As we were just talking about talents earlier, right? If a bunch of regulators doesn't know what to do, right, and how to do it, it becomes a very problematic, a space, right? Because now you do not know how to move forward, or should you actually not, do something there. So this is the problem of ASEAN actually at the moment. Some countries are recognizing it as security, like Malaysia. Some are recognizing it as commodity, basing on what SEC did. Some are focusing on more AMLA and ATF rules. Some are focusing on more security standard rules and consumer protection, right? So in this case, even let's say just go down 5 years down the road, and we suddenly said we want to connect the crypto ecosystem and all the registered market operators in ASEAN itself.
Right.
We will fail to do it because they are under so many different types of rules and so many different types of ministry. Right? Because in certain countries they're under Ministry of Trade, in certain countries they're Ministry of Finance, certain countries they're Ministry of Securities, right? Under Security Commission, right? It kind of mess right now on how regulation is managed. I think sometimes, if they just can come to a common sense, go and sit down somewhere, maybe just take a paid vacation, right? Go to some nice fancy place in Switzerland, sit down and say, guys, we are screwing this up and how can we fix this, right? And do a crypto conference just for all the regulators and say what works best for their own country.
Can I get an invite to that Switzerland thing?
Yeah. I mean, if the regulators kind of invite us there, right? So in this case, if something like this, I think is actually necessary for like to be executed.
Right.
And basically to come, everybody should have a kind of a very similar approach to it.
Right.
And coming to the idea of legal tender, legal tender might not work for everybody. Right. If you talk about El Salvador, they have some hiccups.
Right.
But for them, you have to see that the world is not actually equal. Right. You have to look into many different aspects before you say where legal tender will actually work.
Right.
When you look into Malaysia, right, fintech has been really good for us.
Right.
And really fast. Our banking services, although there is some problems, but we generally have really good banking infrastructure.
Right.
Compared to our neighbors, compared to our friends. I mean, of course, not comparing to Singapore, but compared to everybody like us in the neighborhood, we actually have a good, mobile penetration rate, mobile internet banking, fintech, and payment services has been really well, right? So now the value proposition that Bitcoin brings and the value proposition that fintech apps bring, with all those services that's already been loaded up on your fintech app, that's where kind of the challenge happens, right? Do I really need Bitcoin for payment, or do I want to get touch and go for payment, for example? Right? So there's no real strong value added except being anonymous right now. Right? So that's where the dilemma comes in, right? What is the real value add here? What are the other services we come in? But then Bitcoin is actually playing in the race, only with its one leg, or it's kind of short-handed, right? In this race, because the rest of its applications and its power, for example, if we talk about Ethereum, smart contracts, DAOs, and the whole ecosystems are not even allowed to participate in the fintech race. Right? So in this case, it's kind of unfair, a competition that is fighting, but still there's adoption that is actually growing, right? So that is one of the angles that I want to put out, that it would not work in everywhere. If you look into El Salvador, why it actually works, right? Because they didn't have a lot of mature fintech ecosystem, they didn't have a lot of mature banking system. So when you introduce something like Chivo and you just go up and say, hey, you can directly pay your bills with this. Right. So you're like, oh, I had to go to the office and pay it. Now I can just pay it with an app, right? I already have mobile app. Penetration of internet is much better there now. So they kind of leapfrogged, right? From being in fintech to directly into Web 3.0. Right. So in this case, this will happen, and I think among the countries that, like in LATAM, right? Although they had good infrastructure, but they had an outdated, service platforms and everything. And number two is Africa, right? Africa is going to be a huge adopter of it. Southeast Asia, not all of them, because we are uneven in Southeast Asia. There's Singapore, who's so much more advanced. Then you go into Laos and Cambodia, there's so much more kind of left behind in terms of innovation and how well our banking infrastructure and services are all around. So in this case, I feel like people like Laos, Cambodia, Vietnam, Philippines, even if you see today, they are growing much faster because the value that Bitcoins and crypto gives them is so much more than a banking service can give. Compared to a country like Malaysia, where we already have maturity in terms of our financial services. That's why you see the builders here, you have no builders here, right? Who have seen oh, this app works, but can I make it Web3? Right? Can I actually take it to Laos? If you go throughout ASEAN, you're finding Malaysians going out and building solutions, Singaporeans going out and building solutions and importing ideas, and actually kind of doing that, right? So, yeah.
Okay. Actually, even for the banking thing, right? I just wanted to add that I did go to a local bank to ask for a statement that was more than 2 years old, and they don't have it on record.
Yes.
So, so that is, I think, a big value proposition that crypto offers, which you have all transactions since the beginning of the wallet.
I mean, for example, even for a company, right? If you want to go more than 5 months, you actually have to ask the HQ, and they will actually send you a letter and charge you few ringgit for every piece of paper, right?
Yes.
I'm why can't you just store this and I can just download it and see my transaction history? Right? Here is where the beauty of Bitcoin comes in. Bitcoin kind of has this transactions all compiled together and hashed together, so the database of Bitcoin never grew exponentially. Today, when you have Shahrizan's database, Shahrizan did transaction at this time, at this place, as this kind of data, it kind of grows exponentially, and they have petabytes of data just for the Malaysian ecosystem, where Bitcoin can do a global database on just 300 GB. Right. So that's the beauty of the technology, that is not only having in terms of security that's good, but also at the same time in terms of compressing and actually having valuable information that you actually can check and verify, but in a very small size, and not having a lot of nonsense that was not required, that is being stored today by the bank.
So I think it's good to have all this scenario happening around the world where those countries with regulators still thinking about it, seeing how they're being overtaken by other countries' economy and convenience of people moving there. People are migrating nowadays to a country that they feel more empowered to live in, rather than staying in a country that doesn't feel empowered at all.
Right.
And that will make, hopefully that will be a wake-up call for some of the regulators in changing and rectifying some of the policies around these fintech solutions.
Right,
Yeah.
right.
I mean, we're already seeing brain drain everywhere, right?
Yeah.
So you can see like a lot of like kind of countries that are innovative, that they know that they need this talent into their country. They need, because they kind of recognize that blockchain and cryptocurrencies are going to be the way of future. They're going to be a layer that's important in the future. So they started to have very friendly policies. They started to have, like a lot of interesting new visa proposals, like easy entry for all the smart guys, easy entry of capital, right? And they start attracting all the smart guys come to the country and say, hey, I don't know this stuff. Can you tell me how this stuff works?
Right.
And can we actually do it here? And how can we do it together? Right? That is what, like all these friendly countries are doing today. But what they're doing, they're actually getting all the smartest people all around the world, go to their country and actually start building applications, solutions, solving their problems. And where countries like, which are a bit more complacent, they're like, oh, I want to look-see right now, see how everybody else is going to do it, and then you're actually going to take an action, all the best minds will leave, right? And an ecosystem will be drained out, where when you want to start competing, everybody else already have a Tesla,
it's too late,
and you just want to go and start building, like tires, for example, right? So in that case, it's too late to compete, and you already lost the game.
Right. I know Arvin actually sent me a very interesting message showing what the market is doing right now since we started our stream. So that's quite a crash, Arvin. Thanks for telling us.
Arvin, stop dumping.
Did you short? No, I didn't have time to short. No, I think that's why it crashed, because we were not monitoring the market. So. Decided to move, right?
Yeah, Rico was not there. You're like on the guard right now, right? You're like buy more bitcoins.
I need to phone my partner.
Short. Yeah, okay, so I got this interesting question here. As we all know, one of the causes, maybe the causes of this bear market is the Terra Luna death spiral that happened, right? Okay, so Zuli Rahimi Zulkifli is asking, after the failing of Luna and UST, do you think stable coins are safe? So, what do you think? Is that okay? First of all, let's not talk about all stable coins. Let's just talk about algorithmic stable coins. Are they safe? Are all of them susceptible to death spirals?
I would say it depends on the architecture of the algorithms. If it's sound and it's being improved over time, of course it's fine to do that. But you can't just stop innovate. And you can't just expect one size fits all strategy in developing an algorithm like that. So it is a bearish market. We can speculate whatever reason that caused it. But as mentioned earlier on, it's not about all these things. It is a global trend. It's actually what is going on in the whole world that is affecting the whole economy globally. We are part of the global economy, right? So that itself is why there's a bearish market, and not only in our crypto space, in the whole world. And we foresee if there'll be bigger crash than today. So in the near future, in Q3, Q4, we will be seeing a lot of things happening in different countries and regions. There will be a lot of, catastrophe, whether it's natural or non-natural, doesn't matter anymore because the graph keeps going up and down anyway. For us who have been through the cycles, at least 4 cycles now, it's very normal. But every time when this sort of thing happens, in chaos, there's always a great opportunity and potential. So I think that's where we need to look at the bright side of what is going on now and take action.
I mean, if you look into history of most of those assets, there's always something failing right now. We have a failing governments around the world, we have failing currencies around the world, we have failing economies around the world, we have failing stocks around the world, right? So we have like many different types of things that are failing, but many things that are growing as well. Crypto market has the same issue, right? In this case, you will have a bunch of, in a way, it's the survival of the fittest, right? Whereas the best ideas, the best concepts, they emerge, they grow, and as they keep evolving, right? When we say survival of fittest, like if you remain the fittest, right? That is also a question, there's also something to be considered there, right? Even like if you keep on evolving, you keep on updating, you keep on, like a kind of living up to your vision and your ideas, and keep on being updated by time, you actually grew to it. But coming back to this case of Luna and USD, I don't think so. This is the end of algorithmic stable coins.
Okay.
Right? When you come towards what I see is a plan, like kind of like an interesting idea.
Right.
Right? With very bad like kind of security mechanisms,
Right.
and like failure detection mechanisms, and also like and also a bit of bad economics in play, right? I mean, it was good economics when it was going up,
Right.
but it's bad economics when it dropped down, right?
Yeah.
So everybody kind of like only like to see when like to be happy when the sun rises, like,
Right.
and leaves when the sun sets.
Yeah, yeah.
Right? This is kind of the industry we live in. But although like a lot of people got burned, like being like true believers in it as well. Like a lot of people actually lost a lot of money, so sorry to that.
Yeah.
But generally saying, coming to this, I think industry will mature from this, right? We will see that, hey, this doesn't work, right? Why it didn't work?
Right.
What are the safeguards we need to put in place, right, to ensure it never happen again, right? Whenever like a hack happens, we try to improve on it and ensure that that type of hack doesn't happen again.
Right.
Same ways, whenever an attack happens, we try to improve on it and see how that kind of attack doesn't happen again, right? Or if there's a failure in terms of an economical model, can we sit down and this time think about it, right? How can we ensure the safety of our depositors or safety of our investors when we're actually designing this economics?
Right.
It's not just about how fast we can give them the returns,
Right.
but can we give them returns safely, right? Can we give
Right.
them returns at all, right? So in this case, these questions have to be answered. So I think looking at this, the next algorithmic coins that we build, they will have better safety checks. Maybe they have time logs. They will be maybe more kind of based more onto reserves. Like they'll have more, like type of different types of assets in their reserves, or they might be bond based, right? I think a lot of the market might be going into and experimenting with more types of
Right.
like algorithmic bond based with lock period assets
Right.
at the back, kind of stable coins, right? Which I think there's a lot of experiment will happen in that sector, because I think algorithmic stable coins kind of is the cat of algorithmic stable coins is out of the box,
Right.
Because now we feel that, hey, we assets like are limited, right? We only have 21 million bitcoins,
Right.
How many times can I stake that thing,
Right. Yeah.
I will always run out of it, right? Then we talk about Ethereum again, right? It's still limited, although you can keep on adding more in terms of inflation on Ethereum, but it's still limited, right? All those assets are way more limited compared to whatever we have in our today's economy, that we can keep on printing and keep on creating more economy, right? So things like this will inspire a lot more algorithmic stable coins to find new ways to create more value, to grow that ecosystem, but doing it in more safer manner,
Right.
right?
Do you think that because of that hack, people moving forward, they're going to be skeptical of algorithmic stablecoins? What do you think would make people feel better? Circuit breaker? Something that would, like if you're an investor and you're thinking, oh, there was this huge, like it was a top 10 coin at some point, right?
Yeah.
So that whole thing collapsed. What would make you feel comfortable?
I think crypto people have a bit of like memory loss problems, right?
Right.
Yeah. So in
Okay.
this case,
Not only just crypto people.
yeah,
right?
I think
Almost everyone.
yeah. So the next you put 35% and you're like, oh, we are better than this because we did these few checks on it.
Right.
People will just go into and start pumping it.
Right.
Because what you see in terms of crypto, what happens is that a lot of people, I think, although that we have a lot of people complaining,
Right.
right? But industry is giving chance to people to innovate,
Right.
right? Like there might be some people who are hating Luna today, and like all those plays, but there's also people who are trying to see if there's something else that can replace it, or there's any new technology that can back it.
Right.
They might lost on something, but they also gained on something.
Right.
Right. That's the reason they're still maturely coming in.
Right.
So like a lot of investors who are mature in the space, they kind of know that this is all risky. They understand the risk that they're playing with,
Right.
and they're willing to go up and adapt to it.
Right.
But I think overall, what have to happen is in terms of the entrepreneurs, the builders, the people who are here, they have to go up and whoa.
Oh, what's happening?
We are promoting some T-shirt here.
Oh, okay.
So we have the Terra Luna T-shirt, right? So we have like infinite supply of this, right?
No death spirals for this one.
Yeah. I think the logo have to change now, right?
They actually teaches
Yeah.
us that look, if it's infinite supply,
Right.
it's not sustainable.
Yes.
Yeah.
Simple as it is. And look at all the currency we have in the world now.
Yeah.
They are all infinite supply.
Okay.
And that is a very strong message to the regulators on all the regulators. This is something that they can learn from the cryptography industry when things are limited in size, and there must be a sustainable system around it.
Right.
Yeah.
Printing more fiat is not going to solve the problem.
Yeah, but I mean, like, where here comes in, economics and history has, you have to understand this concept.
Right.
I believe both will exist.
Right.
There will be a bunch of cryptos who will come in and say that how they can actually bring in more supply because it doesn't make sense for their business model or their
Right.
concepts. Like, for example, just talk about Ethereum.
Right.
Why didn't they fix it? Right? Why are they going with a concept? Because the vision on Ethereum and the vision on Bitcoin is different. So the Bitcoin started as the idea of a peer-to-peer cash system.
Right.
Right. That's how the white paper was actually proposed. But eventually became a peer-to-peer value system that, and how we can do a store of value.
Right.
It evolved over time because that's how the economics were designed. Because it was mimicking gold, not cash.
Right.
Right. So when you look into Ethereum, why it doesn't make sense? Because its vision is to become a world computer.
Right.
Right. Becoming a decentralized network where you can run your application, you can run your services, you can build communities, DAOs, ecosystems. The vision is bigger, different, and in this case, they need a supply that keep on growing this ecosystem.
Right.
Where are you going to keep on bringing more value?
Right.
To create more value, you need more value being created in the terms of the Ethereum itself, right? The coins itself. You will run out of those before you even hit your vision.
Right.
Right. That's why they have a consistent supply, and in this case, they have consistent emission and introduction of that currency through mining right now. But they will have a change in E2. 2.0 for sure, but every single project has a different vision, has a different idea. Terra had a different idea. We talked about how Ethereum has a different idea, Solana has a different idea. So their economics will evolve, right? So pitches from the day of Bitcoin on why Bitcoin has to be a limited supply, you go back into history when we used to use gold, right? They were more stable currencies, right? Although yes, we say that a lot of this, like all this old civilization, they started to spend more they had, right? They started to, use it for wars and all of those. We do have those arguments. Yes, they did misuse and they did, started to, what they call reduce the value of those assets. But a lot of this civilization eventually started to stagnate when they were purely gold-based.
Right.
Right. So in this case, there is economical issues by just being finite. There is economical issues by being totally infinite.
Right.
Right. I think we have to understand the bigger picture and understand that both this ecosystem will be in the current financial system and it's already there. Both this ecosystem will be in crypto.
Right.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I think if you leave us alone, we'll probably go on for another hour or 2 hours easily.
Yeah.
We can just continue gorenging the whole way. But unfortunately, we probably got to come to the end of our first show. I'd like to thank our sponsors. Poloniex is our main sponsor for today. And of course, YGG, Alchemist Miners, and Cool Wallet. Now, the winner of the Cool Wallet, have we messaged them? Are they going to message us?
Yeah.
How will they know who's the winner?
I don't know.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. We're gonna figure it out, guys. Don't worry about it. Okay, so we're gonna either message you or the winner will somehow know, and we'll give them the cool wallet, right? Yeah. Okay. So we got it. We'll figure it out. Don't worry about it. All right. So thanks so much for all the questions that you guys have been asking, and we'll be back again for episode 2. Oh, you want me to choose?
You want to hear?
Okay. Which question did you guys like the best?
You can check your group.
Which question did you guys? Do you remember?
I think I'll get Rico for this one.
Yeah.
For you to,
I think
you can choose the
second
winner.
question,
Which is?
about regulations.
About regulations. Okay, all right. So we're going to choose, is that by Simon?
Simon?
Okay, all right. So Simon, you are the lucky winner of the Cool Wallet. Congratulations.
Congrats, Simon.
Yes, make sure to DM us.
Yeah.
DM us,
Yeah,
all right?
so-
Slide into our DMs,
Yeah,
all right?
CryptoBilis doesn't DM you first.
Yeah, exactly. So
that might be somebody else.
asking you to, subscribe to their NFT. So thanks so much. I will be back again for another episode of Crypto Goreng next month. In the meantime, keep DCAing, I guess. I don't know. Find out more information on our Facebook groups, Bitcoin Malaysia #1 group and of course Cryptocurrency Malaysia. Thanks so much for coming on the show,
Pleasure.
and looking forward to chatting to you guys again off camera. All right, ciao guys.
Introducing the Cool Wallet Pro, an enhanced hardware wallet the size of your credit card. It packs the most sophisticated cold storage technology inside, giving you full control of your digital assets whenever, wherever you need it. Cool Wallet Pro connects offline to only your mobile device within a 10-meter distance, and requires you to physically confirm every transaction on your Cool Wallet Pro after checking transaction details for optimal security. Cool Wallet Pro is designed for the professional crypto user who needs more than just superior security in a hardware wallet. You can plug in directly to the world of DeFi, DEXs, and other dApps, allowing you to earn easy passive income from staking and DeFi on the best crypto blockchains. Through our extensive marketplace, you can trade, sell, and buy directly from trusted third parties, all within the Cool Wallet app. While staying anonymous, retaining data privacy, and avoiding trust risks. With Cool Wallet Pro, the key to your future is in your